Greetings, scholars. Welcome to the next lesson in our Jamestown colony study. Today we are working on lesson number 2. Our objectives. What we will be doing today. Today, we will be introduced to one of the colonists who took a leadership role in the colony of Jamestown. And we will hear about further ups and downs of the first year in the Jamestown colony. We ended last time hearing about the problems that the Jamestown colonists encountered during their first few months of life in their new home. Let's review those. The soil was poor and the land was marshy, which made for bad crop growing. Ocean salt water was mixing with the drinking water, causing people to get very sick. Illnesses such as malaria, which was carried by the mosquitoes that loved that marshy land, were killing many of the colonists. And they had found out the Powhatan people were also living in the area, which had them worried about their own safety if going hunting or fishing. Basically, we found out that things were not going well. All through that first summer, people died. By September, more than half the settlers were dead. The leaders argued among themselves, and no one could decide what to do. Would Jamestown suffer the same fate as the lost colony of Roanoke? Would it fail? Would they all die? What they needed was a leader. One man stepped up and took charge. His name was John Smith. Smith was 27 years old when he arrived in Jamestown, but he had experience as a soldier and he knew how to survive in the wilderness. He knew that in order for the remaining colonists to survive, the settlers had to work and farm, not just look around searching for gold to pick up off the ground. Smith gave orders for each man to work on helping build the fort and to gather food. When those proper English gentlemen reminded John Smith of their importance, John Smith had a simple answer for them. He said, "He who will not work will not eat." Well, scholars, you guessed it. The gentlemen went to work. Smith helped turn things around and make sure the remaining colonists were surviving. But then, in December of 1607, John Smith almost died when he was captured by the Powhatan tribe. According to a book that he later wrote, warriors from the tribe took him to the chief. He was then certain he was going to be killed when the warriors picked up their clubs and their rocks and approached him. In his book, he said that just before they came at him, Chief Powhatan's 13-year-old daughter, named Pocahontas, came rushing out and laid her body by John Smith's body. According to the legend and his writing, it goes on to say that the chief was so moved by his daughter's actions that instead of killing John Smith, they adopted him into the tribe. He returned to Jamestown with both his life saved and the friendship of Chief Powhatan. So, yes, scholars, in that moment, Pocahontas did more than save John Smith's life. Over the next few years, she helped save the colony. She brought food to the colonists. She also helped the colonists trade for goods with her people. She even warned the settlers about raids the Powhatan warriors had planned. She was quite important in helping the colony of Jamestown survive and build a better relationship with the Powhatan. We will be hearing more about Pocahontas in a later lesson. When John Smith was released and that friendship formed, he headed back to the village of Jamestown. On the same day John Smith returned to the village, a ship from England sailed up the James River carrying about 100 new settlers, food, and supplies. Think of that, scholars. 100 new settlers coming. They're more than doubling the size of the colony. But that up was quickly followed by a down. Just a few days later, a fire broke out in the village, destroying most of it. And then even more of them died of starvation and illness during the remaining winter months. So, as that winter continued, scholars, more of them starved to death, and more of them caught illnesses and died. It's important to remember starvation and illness that winter killed even more of them. By spring, only 38 colonists were left in the colony. Then, that fall, another ship arrived with more settlers, including the first two women. That winter, fewer colonists died, and there were now about 500 colonists in the colony with that new arrival of the ship. In 1609, John Smith was badly hurt when his bag of gunpowder exploded against his leg. He sailed back to England to get treatment, but before leaving Jamestown, he looked over the storehouses and was pleased to see that the colony had enough food to get through the winter. So, 500 colonists, plenty of food. For the first time, the future of Jamestown looked brighter. When he was leaving, things were looking good. He was leaving a full colony whose people had plenty of food. Smith believed he left a colony that would have no trouble surviving. But by that spring, there were only 60 of them still alive. What happened? Well, scholars, that is where we're going to stop for today. You will find out next time what happened to the colony to go from 500 to 60 in just one winter. Let's check on our objectives for today. So, today we were introduced to one of the colonists who took a leadership role in the colony of Jamestown. That's right, John Smith. And we heard about further ups and downs of the first year in the Jamestown colony. How, when he was kidnapped, Pocahontas allegedly, right, according to legend, saved his life. How a ship came with 100 more colonists, but starvation and illness wiped out more of them again. And then they bounced back from that and things were looking better again for a while. Quite the ups and downs indeed. Remember, the assignment for today is to open the attached Google form, answer those 5 questions about today's lesson. You can look back at this lesson, look at these slides again, listen to information. Remember, click the submit button at the bottom of the Google form. That's what sends your answers to your teacher. Good luck, and I'll be with you next time to hear just what happened that winter in Jamestown.